Joining us this morning is representatives of the Sylacauga Little League, and that is Rocky Sims, who's the president, and Jamie Elliott, who's the treasurer. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
I don't know how long it's been since I've seen our city stirred about, I don't know if it's a controversy or whatever you want to call it, but Rocky, we'll start with you this morning. How did you learn about all of this as the social media is just ablaze with rumors this morning?
Well, it started off a few months ago, I guess around in October, when Ashton Fowler called us for a meeting to have with the Cal Ripping crew. And we was trying to come up with ways to bring it together, but after 2 meetings, we couldn't never decide.
All right, let me ask you this. Bring what together?
They wanted to bring Little League and Cal Ripken together, and be city ran, and instead of a board.
Jamie, how long have you been the treasurer?
1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Were you guys, Little League, shocked about this, or had you known anything about it at all?
Well, aside from those meetings with Ashton, we saw some things come up for the on the city council agenda. So we showed up to voice our opinion. Well, they tabled the votes on this, and when we received the the letter of this cancellation of our contract, we were really surprised.
Rocky, how long have you been president?
This is my second year.
Second year.
I've been on the board for 5 years.
Lay it out for us. The Sylacauga Little League, since 1953, I think it was, has been a part of the city of Sylacauga. Where are we with Little League baseball in Sylacauga?
We've had some rough years over the past 8 years since Kyle Ripken's come, because it's kind of moved kids around. But this year we'd made our first, big step up in numbers back, and that's just what's funny about we've made it had got down to about 80 kids, and this past year we jumped up to around 180, 176, right in there somewhere, and that's with just the baseball. Then we have girls softball Challenger League, which puts you up around 345 kids, I guess. And so I don't know, we was making a comeback, or starting to show a comeback, and Kyle Ripken's numbers dropped a good bit and ours went up a little, and then we had this talk. We didn't have this talk when we was at 80 or 120 or any time like that. That's when we started going up.
Sylacauga Little League, as I mentioned, been around since 1953, and lots of kids, lots of grown adults now, and even grandparents came up through the Sylacauga Little League. And Jamie, what are you hearing from people like that?
They're very disappointed because I think everybody has a deep feeling of tradition with Little League. I think me and Rocky met nearly 30 years ago in Little League.
Wow.
So it feels weird saying that, and but I was out eating the other night, and a girl that we graduated with, her dad was president of Little League, and she said, "I just want you and Rocky to know that y'all have our support, 100%, because he did so much for Little League." And I told her thank you. Like she was feeling emotional about it, and I think a lot of people are.
Rocky, how would you address the charters that are left in Alabama for Little League baseball? That's one of the conversations that I'm hearing.
It's not as bad. You'll see on Facebook, there's only 3 or 4 charters, 5 or 6. It's not. There's not as many as Kyle Ripken is. In Huntsville, I want to say you got 8 or 9 different districts up there that play. You've got Hoover has started, I think last year they started and got into the intermediate ball with it. You've got Ladonia, Tuscaloosa, and there's a few in Mobile. So it's not like, Chillsburg, Talladega like it used to be, but it's not. When we went to state, we had 9 or 11 teams we played against up there.
And Of course, we will afford Cal Ripken the same opportunity that we give Sylacauga Little League representatives. It's my understanding that there's a clause in a 10-year contract, which has been renewed for several 10-year terms, that there is a clause there that the city of Sylacauga can opt out of that agreement at any time for any reason. Is that accurate?
It is. It's just, now that's what's shocking, that they pulled that, because that's always been it's always been there, but it was kind of something everyone was kind of scared to touch, and didn't, because they knew what would happen or what could happen, and now they're seeing it.
What can happen, Jamie, with Sylacauga Little League if indeed Sylacauga, the city of Sylacauga, elects to opt out of that contract?
Well, if they elect to opt out of it, all they're really taking away is our fields. They're not taking away our charter. We could, I think we could have enough support where we could start several travel ball teams and go and play, around the state if we need to. But Rocky may have a little more information on that as far as.
We would, if they go through with taking our fields away, it's already, it's been brought up, but we would build our own complex. Not a $25 million one like the city talked about a few years ago, but we would build something nice somewhere with the people's help.
What do you mean in layman's terms of taking away the fields? I mean, how is that tied with the city of Sylacauga?
That's their.
It's their property?
It's their property, and they pay our utilities over there. And other than that, it's all Little League ran, and that's it. But I mean, they could. That's the only thing they could do right now. They could take our property after a year, and we would have to. I mean, that they would want us to give up, because that would bring everybody together, they think, but it wouldn't. I mean, because it's too hot of a topic.
Jamie, I've heard this for years, that B.B. Comer and Sylacauga will merge and they'll become one. This is a reminder of how avid and vocal and supportive of Little League Baseball and versus Cal Ripken is in our community. This is a very hot topic.
Oh yeah, I think one thing we stress is we weren't trying to compete with Cal Ripken, and now we've been singled out, and I think that's one of the biggest questions I've been asked is, why was Little League given a 1-year ultimatum of is basically merge with us or you're done, but nothing was said to Cal Ripken. They're not giving them an ultimatum of, hey, decide your own fate, but we're with us we're done. If we don't decide to comply with them, we're done. They're taking away our field.
Where are we at financially with Sylacauga Little League?
We're sitting very well. I think with the fundraisers we do, and especially with the spike in numbers this year, we're sitting very well.
Is this all volunteer
organization?
Mm-hmm. Lots of people have been a part of this down through the years, and there's some veterans of Sylacauga Little League. What are you hearing from them?
They don't want to see it go. Most of them's glad that we're standing up and not just giving in and going with it. But I mean, that's what I don't think some of them understood, was that we was going to get a lot of support from, because I mean, we've got 65 years of support here, not just 8 years from Kyle Ripken. I hadn't saw a whole lot of people standing up and talking for Kyle Ripken, where we've had people from 75 years old to that play now that's 4 years old. So
when Cal Ripken was formed here in Sylacauga several years ago, it certainly split the number of kids. Choices were made, even with the parents and grandparents who came up in the Little League. Some of them chose Cal Ripken. What are some of the differences between the two?
You don't have to work concessions. It's a more drop your kid off and you're done. Where Little League, I mean, it can be like that, but it's known that it's a volunteer organization.
Everybody's involved?
Yeah, so I mean, you come to Little League, you'll see parents out there on the field helping rake the field up. You'll see them, volunteering, coming out there on Saturdays and, cutting grass before the season, cleaning up. I mean, it's not nothing we beg or make them do. It's just, it's how it's always been.
Sylacauga Little League, represented this morning by Rocky Sims, who's the president, and Steve Patterson, who's the state director. I know you've talked to him about this, and what's his feelings on it?
He's been with Little League for over 30 years of, since board and up to where he's at now, and yeah, he's not very excited about the news.
This meeting scheduled between the Sylacauga City Council and representatives of Little League and representatives of Cal Ripken is slated for a week from tomorrow. What do you guys expect to come from this meeting?
Nothing. I mean, I hope a lot of people get there and show support for Little League, but I don't think it's going to change their mind because, I don't know. I don't know what all the councilmen's been told and how it's going because I've only talked to Ashton. And I've talked to one or two more of them, but they just told us what they'd heard from Ashton.
Ashton seems to be the central figure.
He is. He's the one. He
initiated.
He's the youngest on council board, and I think they pretty much gave him the reins with it to, see what you can do, or if he just took it upon himself, I'm not sure.
Jamie, what are your thoughts as to why that seems to be a driving force of that 1 year deal where the Sylacauga Little League, if it continues, would actually be no more?
I'm not sure what the driving force is. Like Rocky said, our numbers doubled from last year to this year. I don't know if they felt threatened by it. We also offered a fall ball this year for the first time ever. We had about 120 kids participate in that. Not every kid wants to play soccer or football. But I'm not sure what the driving force is. But all I can tell you is what we've been doing, and what we're doing is working. It's like,
Rocky, this is not just about boys and girls Little League baseball. This is got a number of organizations under that one umbrella.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have the Challenger League for the special needs kids, and we have the Sylacauga softball, the girls softball.
All right, is that offered by Cal Ripken as well?
I've never heard of it being played, but I think they might could offer it. I don't know. That's another thing we got out of the blue, I guess, last Friday. I was not, the Sylacauga, the softball is under us. Mm-hmm. They had some problems at the complex years ago, 7-8 years ago. I think when the boys started at Cal Ripken started building up and more kids, it ended up, I don't know if it pushed the girls off the field or they had a big disagreement or what, because they used to play over there. And then, so they didn't have a field. We was nice and, hey, y'all come over here, y'all can use this field up here. We'll just squeeze on the other fields. And now, Friday, get on Facebook and see where Parks and Rec had posted that they had a new contract with the girls softball, and they was gonna give them Roberts Field and let them use the other fields as needed, which it won't happen this year because they're still under contract with us. But I think they're trying to pull in as much support as they can, and if you give the girls or the Sylacauga, the softball, what they was wanting like that, it'll help them take their side. So we've lost. If things keep going like it is, we lose our fields. Supposedly the girls will get use of the fields over there, and they won't be Little League anymore though.
Wow. Something that a lot of us never gave any thought to, the dissolvement of Little League baseball in Sylacauga, whether it's Challenger or girls softball or Little League baseball. The fields, obviously owned by the city of Sylacauga, that property. This meeting that's coming up on January 3rd, this is a very, very volatile situation, and we certainly want to encourage people to be at the meeting, whether it's Cal Ripken or Little League, or you're just supportive of our city. But we can't have hotheads
No, that's
at the
what we
meeting.
don't want. That's
It needs to be an organized, question and answer event. I think a lot of people have questions for the council members and possibly for us and the Cal Ripken representatives.
Is there legal representation with the Sylacauga Little League as we know it now?
not yet, but it's being talked about.
Okay. Have you received the letter from? Okay. In bullet points, what did you get from the letter? And that came from the city attorney.
It just says we have 1 year, and our contract will be terminated within 1 year of the date. I guess December 20th, and we'll no longer be allowed for use of the fields.
There was no wiggle room mentioned in that letter.
That's right.
So as far as the city is concerned, and they authorized the city attorney, I think it's Wynn Livingston, I think, to pen the letter and send to the Sylacauga Little League. It's basically a done deal as far as they're concerned.
It is. That's not the way, if I'm talking to Ashton, that's not the way. Oh, it's not a done deal. We just got to agree on something. But I mean, either way you look at it, if I don't agree with what they want, it's done. And I'm going against, this is Little League going against the city, and the city ran Cal Ripken. So it's 2-on-1. However you look, we don't have a say-so in it.
It seems like, just from the outside looking in, that Sylacauga Little League could be dissolved in 1 year. And you talk about building a Little League facility. That's a lot of money, guys.
It is.
And I know emotions can run high on a situation like this, but the bottom line is these children.
All right.
And there are a lot of children that have that are continuing to play in Little League baseball, and this field, the history of that field is second to none itself.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that, a lot of people come play Little League because they don't want to go to the complex. It's not a real feel safe kind of place over there. And that's what I told them at first. If you really want to go about doing this, the right way to do it is to build something somewhere else, because whoever builds, that's who's going to get the leagues.
Right. Rocky Sims, who's president of Sylacauga Little League, and Jamie Elliott, who's the treasurer. Rocky in his second year as president, and Jamie his first year complete as treasurer. What are we going to do about Little League registration, which is going to be coming up?
We've been talking about that. I think, tell how's the...
Oh.
Look at that camera right there and tell folks.
I believe we're going to be offering a $25 registration fee for everyone who wants to participate in Little League.
When is that? When is the registration?
Yeah. February 1st, 2nd.
So it's upon us.
Yes. Yeah.
1st, 2nd, and 5th at the Armory, and then we'll announce more dates after that will be at the field, like on weekends, and to get it out. But anytime.
It appears that with the city of Sylacauga and the letter that you guys received, it would appear that Sylacauga Little League in 2018 is lame duck. How is that going to affect parents and grandparents and their children signing up for Little League even this year?
I think we're going to get more support than ever.
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't have the backing we have now. I think this has gotten a lot of people fired up, and I really hope this isn't going to be our last season at these fields, but I think a lot of sentimental people and traditional people are going to want to come out. I think we could possibly even have people who don't have a kid in the league would want to come out and possibly support us, out there, and support our concession stands, and volunteer to help us, keep the fields up. I think there's a lot of support out there now, and I think that's happening because of social media.
Why is the city of Sylacauga making this decision?
I don't think anybody knows the real answer. None of us do, but there's a bunch of speculations. I mean, there are a bunch of I don't know. There's a bunch of rumors flying around out there, and I'm not sure.
The Sylacauga Parks and Recreation Board department is the Cal Ripken League runs through that organization, and if Sylacauga Little League joined forces with Cal Ripken, it would be under the Sylacauga Parks and Recreation as well.
Yes.
Is there room for 2 leagues in
There
our city?
is.
I believe so. I've heard, a complaint. I can't say we're not having the same complaint, but out at the complex, they're complaining about parking in situations. That they said there's not that much room out there. On just a regular game days. That's what I'm hearing. But we still got some room over there at Little League.
Yeah.
At this meeting, January 3rd, will people be able to voice their thoughts, or is this just going to be City of Sylacauga, Cal Ripken, and Sylacauga Little League, and the rest of us just there?
I think it'll be where everybody can voice their opinions, because if we'd have had it on a regular city council night, we've got people from Fayetteville, Coosa County, Childersburg, all over that play in Little League, because our boundaries are pretty good size, because there's the other ones are Kyle Ripken around here. So I think the reasoning in having this meeting then was so everybody could voice their opinion, no matter if you live in Fayetteville or if you live in Sylacauga. If it was a regular city council meeting, I don't think you could, somebody from Fayetteville could come up there and talk about it.
One of the things that I have been told is that Sylacauga Little League is bringing in kids from other areas to be able to have teams. So your thoughts on that?
We're not bringing them. It's always been, when Coosa County had a Little League team a few years back, and it always had been kind of low in numbers, so they shut down, and we picked up their boundaries. So that's what, we do have Coosa County kids that play in there. And then Fayetteville's always been able to play in Little League. It's just now we've ended up bringing in like a Fayetteville team. We'll do a small little draft from Fayetteville and make their teams up. We'll keep the Sylacauga kids in a draft. And then when you do that, it makes it easier on the parents to, because if you're all from Fayetteville, you can practice in Fayetteville. You hadn't got one kid from Fayetteville that has to drive all the way across Sylacauga to practice. So we're just trying to make it easier. And I don't think that, when you did that, I don't think that made the other league happy, because people would go to a Fayetteville team before they would go up here and get drafted in either league.
Jamie, there's nothing like opening day of Little League baseball, and to just imagine that could be gone.
Yeah.
You see all those kids in all those different uniforms, all on the field at the same time. It's just phenomenal the history of Sylacauga Little League baseball. Did you play Little League baseball here?
I did. I played, from the time I could start and not hold till, Major League, till I was 12 years old. And
Did you? So y'all got personal feelings.
Oh yeah.
As far as this is concerned as well. The history of Sylacauga Little League baseball, the field named after a tremendous man, and so many historical events have taken place here at Sylacauga Little League.
That's what makes it kind of, nobody ever thought this would happen. Nobody ever thought they would use the 1-year clause in there to.
I've heard stories of and Wayne Ham is deceased now, but stories of Wayne Ham hitting a baseball over the railroad track. Now, whether that's true or not true, there's all kind of stories. But state championship teams.
Oh yeah.
Sylacauga used to be, a force to be reckoned with around here. From, I think they won their first state title in 1957. And every decade since then, they've won something.
Yeah.
A state.
And a word that Rocky mentioned is used to be. Can Sylacauga Little League compete statewide against a Cal Ripken organization where our city is 13,000 people and 2 different leagues? Can we succeed?
I believe we can. You know, I mean, Rocky took a all-star team up to Huntsville this year, and they did pretty well.
Yeah, we placed third out of 11.
I mean, that's
teams, so
that's pretty good.
I know you guys want to encourage people, whether they're pro or not pro or whatever, to be at that meeting a week from tomorrow, January 3rd at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah, I think
only way you'll be heard.
I think the whole city needs to be there, really. I mean, I don't think the venue's big enough for the people who are concerned about this issue.
Yeah. And finally this morning, and we touched on this a little bit earlier, am I hearing you right as to say that it's questionable whether this meeting will make any difference?
I mean, it could. I don't know what all the other city councilmen's been told and, you know, how they're taking it. I mean, they hadn't heard our side of the story. The only one that's heard our side of the story was Ashton Fowler. And I've talked to one or two on the phone and, you know, got their opinions on it, but I don't know what some of the
Jamie,
other ones
maybe
heard.
the people's voice will be heard.
I think so. I think tradition can shine through. You know, there's too many memories at that field for people in this town.
Yeah. And this is not a Sylacauga Little League versus Cal Ripken. It's our children and our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren that history will only tell that story.
That's it.
Thank you both for being with us this morning.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rocky Sims, president of Sylacauga Little League. Jamie Elliott, the treasurer of the Sylacauga Little League. Don't forget the city of Sylacauga, the Sylacauga Little League, and Cal Ripken meeting set for 5 o'clock on January 3rd at the Fayhosey Chambers at the Sylacauga Municipal Complex. We've got more Daybreak. Jim Green is just ahead with Eating Out. More Daybreak.